Because A, it's not your land. B, you mentioned Jerusalem.
You can't tell me that, please. Don't say that.
في هذا الفيديو سيتقابل 3 إسرائيليين و3 فلسطينيين وجها لوجه. سيتبادلون الحديث. كيف سيواجه كل طرف وجهة نظر الطرف الآخر؟ هذا ما سنعرفه. أنت في قناة تشيلاكس، حيث ستشاهد فيديوهات أجنبية مختارة بعناية. أنا هنا لأحلل وأتعمق في هذه الفيديوهات.
When it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I think I'm mostly emotionally sad.
I think it's not fair that, a country that is peaceful be in a situation where we have to be threatened.
Being an Arab girl living inside of the Israeli state, it's pretty hard for me to find exactly who I am.
We're the Palestinians. We still live under occupation, so we have no power.
I believe that every person, Jew, Christian, Muslim, should be full equal citizens under Israeli sovereignty.
ماذا سيحدث عندما يتقابل 3 فلسطينيين وجها لوجه مع 3 إسرائيليين؟
My name is Arab Aramin. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Jerusalem.
My name is Ron Bar Shafat. I'm 34 years old and I work as a deputy director of a think tank that deals with law and economics.
My name is Bara Abdo. I'm from Nablus, 25 years old, studied public relations and communications.
My name is ثلاثة. I'm from a small town called Ze'ev, right outside of Jerusalem, and I'm 24 years old.
My name's Hannah Ziad. I'm 24 years old, and I'm an Arabian YouTuber.
My name is Dorit Sadon. I'm 25 years old and I'm a Jewish Israeli Zionist.
الإسرائيليون سيقفون على اليسار والفلسطينيون سيقفون على اليمين. الجملة الأولى: شخص أعرفه قد توفي بسبب هذا الصراع. اللعبة هي أن الموافق على الجملة أو الذي تنطبق عليه الجملة سيتقدم ويجلس على الكرسي ويتحدث عنها، والذي لا يوافق على الجملة أو لا تنطبق عليه يظل واقفا.
Okay. My father was murdered by 2 IDF soldiers. It hit us hard, especially for my family. We're only girls. And inside of the Arabic nation, that's really hard.
My friend, when I was 10 years old, Israeli sniper shot at her in her head. So that was really hard for us.
I grew up during the second Intifada.
الانتفاضة الثانية حسب ويكيبيديا اندلعت من عام 2000 وحتى 2005. تميزت هذه الانتفاضة مقارنة بسابقتها بكثرة المواجهات المسلحة وتصاعد وتيرة الأعمال العسكرية بين المقاومة الفلسطينية والجيش الإسرائيلي. راح ضحيتها حوالي 4412 فلسطينيا و1069 من الإسرائيليين.
All my friends who were murdered in terror attacks. So I have a list of 27 people that were actually very close to me. In Israel we have a Memorials Day, so I have always a dilemma to which grave to go to.
On 16th of January 2007, an Israeli soldier shot and killed my sister Abir. She was 10 years old, front of her school, and I was 13. We were 6 kids in the house. After that we became 2 sisters and 3 brothers.
بعد أن شرع الأطراف المنطبقة عليهم الجملة يأتي الأشخاص الواقفون ليعبروا عن رأيهم.
All of the people that I know have lost someone to the war in some way. And I think grief is such a universal emotion. And I want to hug all of you.
I serve in the IDF. I still serve in the Army Reserves. Combat. I was very combat in the second Intifada, and I feel your grief and I understand it, but I have to say that I never got an order to shoot someone. The order was only to shoot if someone is a threat to your life or a threat to someone else's lives.
I also served in the IDF, and they really do just teach us to defend ourselves. If we're not defending ourselves and we do kill someone, we go to jail.
That's not true. That's not true.
I can tell you something. The soldier that killed my sister, he didn't spend one day in jail.
Neither did my father. Both of them that murdered him did not stay one day in jail.
الجملة الثانية: أوافق على أن خيار حل الدولتين أمر ممكن. حل الدولتين هو حل مقترح للصراع العربي الإسرائيلي، وهو المقابل لمحاولات تتمحور حول حل الدولة الواحدة، والذي لا يحظى بتأييد معظم الدول. يقوم هذا الحل على أساس دولتين هما دولة فلسطين إلى جانب دولة إسرائيل.
I think the Palestinians, they will not stop saying that we want a country. So in the end, if we got to the point that we have our state and they have their state, so no problem.
It's going to be better for us to live all of us together, which is no state like Palestinian, no state like Israeli, only together and having peace together. Like there is no walls and there is no checkpoints, which has happened right now.
I'm with you. One state under Israel's sovereignty and everyone's full equal citizen. Right? Okay, but under Israeli sovereignty, because right now why is that a problem?
Why should it be on one? Why should one religion control it? Why
It's
can't
not
it
a
be
religion, it's a nationality. It's my nationality.
So if we said one state with the Palestinian they control it, you can live under it?
No, because A, it's not your land. B, you mentioned Jerusalem.
You can't tell me that, please. Don't say that.
I'm saying 100%. Palestine used to meant.
I can ask you one question?
Yes.
Please answer it. Your grandfather, you know where he is?
Yes.
Where he is?
To give me how many graves you want me to count?
7 before.
7 before, I know, yes.
Where?
7 before is in Hungary.
In Hungary. 9 before, he's in Palestine. Don't tell me it's not your land.
I'm saying it's not your land.
It's our land. And it will stay and will be.
Like, how do you determine this is our land and it's not their land based on what?
History, international law, interest, solidarity.
Yes. How about empathy?
I have empathy. I'm just not willing to give up on my identity and what I believe is mine.
الجملة الثالثة: أنا خائف من الطرف الآخر.
When I say that I'm afraid, what I basically mean is I'm afraid of going into Gaza because I know that if I will go into Gaza, I might get shot, someone might kill me.
I think I hesitated a little bit because I don't think I'm afraid of the people on the other side. I think I'm afraid of the gap and sort of almost equally afraid of, like, you know, that side taking all of the responsibility for what is happening, or this side taking all of the responsibility for what is happening, which is obviously not working.
Well, that's fair enough. I don't believe that all Palestinians are terrorists because that doesn't make sense. But I do believe that who is in charge, they're leading the Palestinians to, you know, hating us and in a way that, you know, it is really unfair.
I'm against what you said. They're not the Islam, because Islam didn't say killing people or having blood. Don't belong that.
But what
the
about
Islam.
the radical Muslims? The radical Muslims that come and do these things, what do you have to say about them?
They're not part of us. We never accept them as Muslims because they're teaching hate. And in a way, I accepted what you just said about there's a big problem with our governments. They don't know how to talk to each other. And in my idea, I really think the people are the ones that should be talking to each other.
I agree, and I have to say I also don't think there's an issue with Muslims, but I disagree with you about the fact that it's about land. There are several peace talks. They were offered 97% of the land. 98 would have done it. I disagree.
But after deciding with the land, they came and they built more settlements.
What's wrong with
الاستيطان الإسرائيلي هو حركة استيطان استعماري يهودي في ظل دولة إسرائيل، ويشير إلى النشاط العمراني وإنشاء تجمعات سكانية يهودية حديثة على الأراضي الفلسطينية، بالإضافة إلى ممارسة المستوطنين والدولة السيطرة على أراضي أو نقل للسكان أو التحكم بقدرتهم على الحركة.
What's wrong with Jews living in Judea?
That's not the problem. The problem is that we actually talked about this land being for these people, and in the end when we see Israelis coming in and actually building houses, that's showing us you guys don't want peace.
الجملة الرابعة: أنا أثق بمصدر المعلومات التي أتلقاها فيما يتعلق بالصراع.
I I serve in the IDF, so first of all, I trust myself and my officers. I do think that a lot of the information I'm getting is not accurate, which is why I try to compare it with different sources, and I also try to see it from people, what they think, what they feel.
I don't trust everything I see on the news, that's for sure. I do believe, again, there are two sides to every single story. But I do see things that are happening. For instance, things like the rockets that are striking or the stabs that are happening. Those things I do trust because I can see that they're happening and they're just unfair.
Like, I see the narrative being written as like I watch TV. I know how important and how powerful language is and how it can create reality, and like I can see it. I'm like, this is really dangerous. Like, on both sides, it's really dangerous.
Overseas media that I see, they're always against Israel for things that are not necessarily our fault.
I find it very funny because we look at it as and start saying that they're really with Israel, which is funny. I find it kind of funny. But no, I seriously do find the information that we're getting has more as an agenda to it.
الأجندة أو الأجندة السياسية هي قائمة بالموضوعات والمشكلات والقضايا التي يوليها المسؤولون الحكوميون وكذلك الأفراد من خارج الحكومة اهتماما جادا لمصالحهم الخاصة طبعا.
From both sides.
I don't believe in social media. Like, from the Israeli side, gonna support Israel. From the Palestinian side, gonna support Palestinians. People gonna be very confused, and I'm gonna be very confused about the reality.
So to say, but the question was the sources, so it doesn't have to be just social media and the reports like this. Like, I also trust the reports that the Israeli security forces publish.
But they are
Don't
gonna
trust
write it in
everything.
their ideas, not about the reality and the situation, but their ideas. How do they see this situation? It's not really what happened.
الجملة الخامسة: أريد من الجهات السياسية التي هي إلى جانبي أن يقوموا بتسويات سلام.
If we continue to do what we did until now, it's going to continue as it was now. And I don't see it getting better. Our leaders should have our lives and the best for us in their minds. And so it's not compromising. Like, peace is never compromising.
The Palestinian politicians, in the end, they want a peace for themselves and for their people. But they have no power because the power, it's not in their hands, it's in the other side.
I would like for us to compromise only if you will be able to compromise. It doesn't make sense that every time that we have a war, it's always started by your side. The other day I just heard about, over 1,800 acres of crops have been burnt by, Hamas, who have been sending it over to Israel.
حركة حماس أو حركة المقاومة الإسلامية هي حركة فلسطينية وطنية مقاومة للاحتلال الصهيوني، وهي جزء من حركة النهضة الإسلامية. هذه النهضة هي المدخل الأساسي لهدفها، وهو تحرير فلسطين كاملة من النهر إلى البحر.
Instead of spending all that money in order to ruin us, why don't they spend it on taking care of Palestine?
One second. You're talking about Hamas. You're talking about Gaza. Gaza, it's so far from us. We don't know what's going over there. We don't know. If you can ask me about the West Bank, I'm gonna answer, and I think you as well.
But here's the way I see it when you're talking about compromise. Hamas's charter says murder the Jews wherever they are, and the PA that are hold on. But the PA that are the moderates.
You're going back to Hamas.
So, but the PA, the Palestinian Authority, let me finish. The Palestinian Authority that are the moderates, they're saying it's a death sentence if you sell your house to a Jew. Are there racist people in Israel? Of course. Are there racist people everywhere in the world? Yes. But we condemn people who are acting violently, and the other side glorifies it.
الجملة السادسة: العنف مبرر أحيانا.
If you're going to attack Israel, then Israel is going to defend themselves. And that means when it comes to certain things, maybe not you specifically, but again, to the radical Muslims, we have to. Because if we don't, then there's not going to be a state of Israel anymore.
I don't think it's a matter of Israeli Arabs or Jewish Christians, sometimes in life you have to use violence. I hope it will be close to zero as possible. But if I see someone about to murder someone else, I think it's okay for me to use violence to stop that. I think violence is not allowed for a political goal. I think that's a bad place to use violence. I prefer talking and having a discourse.
Okay, I didn't grow up with a lot of violence, with zero violence. But what I went to say, the same as you said, who comes to my house to break the door to take my father, of course I will defend for myself. So it's called a violence. But I want to defend for myself.
First of all, I am against violence 100%. It's a freaking circle that's going to keep on happening over and over again.
For me, if you're gonna react for the violence with violence, so here we go. We're having like the same problems, the same generation who's raised with hatred and violence and love blood, which is not acceptable.
الجملة السابعة: أن يحظى شعبي بوطن خاص به هو أمر مهم بالنسبة لي.
I think that Israel needs to be our homeland because if we won't have a homeland, no one else is going to accept us anywhere else, especially because there's a lot of racism and anti-Semitism as well. So if we're not going to be here, where are we going to go?
Okay, for me as a Muslim, the Holy Land, why it's so important. First of all, because I was born here. I have no place, another place.
Every single person around the world have the right to live in the place that they were born in. And that the right for Palestinians, also for, if we're gonna talk about refugees also, they have the right to come back here to their lands, to their homes, and have their places.
The fact that we came back to our homeland and that we do have a country and a government here, for me, like, it does feel like a miracle. But I also think that the fact that we do have the power now gives us more responsibility, and that we can't just base it on the fact that it's our homeland and not hear other voices saying we feel the same about the same place.
الجملة الثامنة: أنا أحيانا أشكك في مكاني في هذا الصراع.
All the time I'm questioning if it's more dialogue, more force, more conversations, more social media. I always ask myself what is the best thing. I tend to believe that the best thing is human interaction.
A lot of times I take a step back from like the political argument about the conflict and all of that, just because I feel like unworthy and that I don't know enough.
So in my way, I've always known what I am in this conflict. I always knew I wanted to fight for peace. That's all I knew, and that's all I will ever know. I never was in the idea of this conflict until my father passed away, and then I had to think for myself.
I always was asking my father why I was born, and his answer, not to kill, to live, to be in life. And when my sister, she got killed, I went back to him to tell him. He told me I was born to live, not to kill. But my sister, she was born to die. The Palestinians, they didn't kill 6 million Israelis. And the Israelis still, they didn't kill 6 million Palestinians.
هنا يتحدث عن الهولوكوست، وهي محرقة إبادة جماعية وقعت في الحرب العالمية الثانية. قتل فيها ما يقارب 6 ملايين يهودي أوروبي على يد النظام النازي لأدولف هتلر.
There is a Germanian embassy in Tel Aviv, and there is a Israeli embassy in Germany. So it's a big hope. It always gives me a hope when I'm looking at this and thinking a little bit about this.
I gotta say, I think it's nice slogans. I don't think that's the case. Israel has a peace treaty with Egypt because Egypt was willing to have peace with Israel. Israel has a peace treaty with Jordan because the Jordanians were willing to have a peace treaty with Israel.
Also, from one to one, it's different. How the way you're thinking about it.
I agree, which is exactly why I don't believe in a peace between the two sides, because in my understanding of reality, the whole concept of Palestinian nationality...
Because you don't accept Palestinians.
I accept human beings. I'm saying that the whole concept of Palestinian nationality is one goal, and that is the annihilation of Israel. When Jordan took over Judea and Samaria, when Egypt took over Gaza, no one asked for a Palestinian.
But you're combining everyone into one ideology, which is not right.
Why? What do you mean?
You're saying because they're saying that they're Palestinian, this is what they want, which is not true.
I agree. I take it back. The Palestinian government, the Palestinian Authority.
There.
Okay, I'm not saying that the
Palestinian.
I agree. It's different. I'm going to say okay, but I don't refer to the Arabs of Judea and Samaria as Palestinians. I refer to them as Arabs of Judea and Samaria.
If we were gonna live long age or long years, we're gonna see each other.
Great.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have it.
Palestinians, you can have it.
No, I'm talking about peace. We're gonna have it here.
الجملة التاسعة: أرغب في الجلوس وتناول وجبة مع الجميع هنا.
Yes, please.
Hello. Hi guys. I'm Johnny.
Hi, Johnny. Hi, Johnny.
I'm Ido.
Hi, Ido.
Shalom. Salam alaikum. So there's on top some passion fruit juice which gives a kick. So how was the experience, guys?
For me, it was perfect. It was good, and it was a good meeting.
It was topsy-turvy. It was upside down. The beginning, yeah. I could say that. Because you don't know who's in front of you. You don't know their ideas, their ideology, what they think about you.
I think we did come to some sort of an agreement that we both do want peace.
Not everyone. I want security, freedom, and prosperity.
You're talking about legal peace.
I don't want a piece of paper that says peace. I want to live in peace. I don't want a piece of paper that says we have a peace treaty.
That's what we meant as well.
No, okay, but we don't agree because I don't believe in a Palestinian state, and you think you should have a two-state solution. So we don't agree, and it's also
No, but then we did say we wanted a one-state solution.
Israel with everyone equal. I'm fine with it.
Exactly.
Well, I learned from you that you have a lot of sympathy for our side as well, even though your sister passed away, which is terrible. She didn't pass away, she was murdered. But I can see that you also have sympathy for the other side, and you actually are trying to, communicate with us, even though you went through everything that you had to go through on your end. And I definitely learned that we can learn to love your side as well, or I could learn to love your side as well.
We want really similar things. Yeah, and it's sort of, you feel like, my friends from back home. And so the realization that we do have the same sort of language, not in the language that we speak, but in our body language and the things that interest us and the future that we hope for ourselves and for our families. There are no sides. I can't draw a line and say, okay, I'm like these people or I'm with these people.
حسناً يا شباب، شكراً على المشاهدة. أنا لا أتبنى أي شيء موجود في هذا الفيديو، أنا مجرد محلل وناقل، وسوف تستمر مسيرة النصر حتى يرفرف العالم الفلسطيني في القدس وكافة أرجاء فلسطين، وهذا ما سيحدث حتماً. سيكون هنالك أجزاء أخرى من هذه السلسلة، وأيضاً ستكون هنالك الكثير من الفيديوهات الممتعة والمشوقة في المستقبل، فلا تنسى الاشتراك في قناة تشيلاكس. أراك الأسبوع القادم.